afternoon. Welcome to our show. I'm your host, Melissa Ridgen. Pipelines are a hot button issue that won't go away so long as the old ones leak and new ones are in the works. There's the build the pipeline side, and then there's the no more pipeline side, and of course there's a giant chunk of people in the middle who aren't really sure what to think or believe. So how do you get those people to see your side? Well, if it's your corporate interest to include pipelines, then you've got money to sway people, politicians, advertising campaigns, etc. On the other side, you've got, your activists marching and protesting, yelling buzzwords outside of businesses and places of political power to get people on their side. But then there's this new game in town, and they're interested in getting you to see pipelines from their perspective, done through an elaborate scheme of pranks and good old-fashioned BSing. Today, we're putting the Indigenous Pipeline Council in focus. You can join our conversation and ask questions or make points. You can call us toll-free at 1-877-647-2786. You can tweet us at APTN InFocus. Before I introduce you to our guests, let's take a look at some of the work done by the Indigenous Pipeline Council. Here you will see them at a community consultation meeting in Duluth, Minnesota, to tell concerned citizens that the last 19 kilometers of Enbridge's Line 3 pipeline might have to go through their backyard. Let's watch.
I am Carl Ironeyes, CEO and clan father for the Indigenous Pipeline Council, and I am a Native American Indian of the Athabascan oil sands area up in Alberta, Canada.
I am Coyote McTomey, Chief Technology and Communications Officer, also a clan father of the IPC family, and an Ojibwe from right here in Minnesota. Carl and my ancestors moved freely to supply their changing energy needs. Now, today, it's the energy that does the moving, and we at the IPC help it to move from Carl's homeland to ours.
White people's search for energy independence has often hurt Native Americans. Where 100 million of us used to roam, only 5 million are left to live on. And
the legacy continues as oil and pipeline companies destroy our ancestral lands. No wonder we have reservations about them.
Enbridge isn't like those other companies. When Enbridge undertook the Line 3 replacement, they asked us at the IPC to finish the final 19 miles, and that's exactly what we're doing. We all know we can't remove risk entirely.
But when there were tens of millions of us inhabiting North America, we kept the peace by sharing the risk fairly. And that's what our pipeline plan does. It ensures that those who share in the wealth from oil production and transportation also share in the risk. Some Duluth residents may be worried about the so-called boomtown effect. It's true that many areas with the new oil infrastructure have historically shown an increase of violent and nonviolent crime. We natives have a lot of experience with these phenomena when they find oil in our communities, and we're prepared to do what it takes to make sure that these things don't happen right here to the good people of Duluth.
In fact, we've got a 5-fold commitment.
The first is consultation. When our ancestors would embark on the voluntary reorganization of somebody's homeland, they felt a duty to consult with them first.
The second is education. We all know that pipelines can rupture. But there doesn't have to be a disaster, especially if we educate our young.
Stimulation. We commit to hire multiple non-native contractors and create dozens of jobs, several of which could possibly become semi-permanent.
Then there's resettlement. The IPC has a program to relocate residents.
Finally, the handoff. As the profits come to benefit the greater Duluth community, it will be natural to apportion a greater ownership share to affected residents. Each one of you here is a representative of many thousands of your neighbors and fellow citizens. As you agree to join us here today, your community agrees to join us as well.
So generally we conduct and we close our meetings with a song and a dance.
And this song and this dance is to ward off evil spirits and negative energy. Whoever wants to to come up, we're going to go ahead and get started. You're just going to follow me, and what we're going to do is we're going to take the path of the black snake.
Joining us now is Ryan DeRage, aka Gits Crazy Boy. He's Blackfoot and Dene and came from Calgary, Alberta, Treaty 7 territory to join us here today. And Peter Ibarra, aka Tito. Ibarra, who you saw leading the Black Snake dance there. He's a Ojibwe from Red Lake, Minnesota. So essentially one of you lives near in and around where Enbridge's oil line 3 oil pipeline, try that again, expansion replacement project begins, and the other lives near where it will end. So tell our audience, because you're still new or undiscovered to some of us, but we want to know your background on environmental activism before you got into this tactic to get the message across.
My cousin Ariel Tsekwe Duranje brought me in. She's been working with the environment, and her ma has, and she kind of pulled me in a few years ago. We were doing the whole protests, organizing rallies, events, and stuff like that. Eventually, you get into a certain group after a while, and you got to meet more people. I kind of lost a little bit of love with that style of getting information out.
How come?
Because you take more losses than wins, you know? Like, people just in the end really don't care. I find that some environmental organizations are just satisfied with doing a march and a rally and dropping a banner, and then that's it. They won't go any further than that. And I found some of them might even prevent Indigenous grassroots from taking it maybe even a step further, and persuading them and not doing that. But that whole method, that's one tactic, and it was cool for a while, and I believed it. But it was this thing of like, protests are great, and you get all this energy, and you meet like-minded people, and you're networking, but there should be more than just that. And I think a lot of them are just satisfied with holding a sign and being on the streets, maybe conveniently blocking traffic for a little while.
Yeah.
And then you have people on the other side of the spectrum, like Canis Manuel and other land defenders who are right on these pipelines trying to stop them. And I figured there should be somewhere in between all of that where I kind of existed.
Yeah.
And that's where, like, I've been doing environmental work like maybe 10 years now.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And what got you interested in environmental activism? How long have you been in the scene?
Oh, real quick, I got a gift for you. T-shirt from the Indigenous
Thank
Pipeline
you.
Council, and
And
of
my
course the oil
own
chief.
oil chief hat.
It doesn't quite go on like that.
Does it
There
go
you
on
go,
like
that.
this?
Yes.
Don't wear that in public. There may be a misunderstanding.
You want to get a beat down?
Nice.
You
Want to get a beat down?
Don't wear it on Halloween.
Thank you.
You could wear that at those shamanic gatherings. White people get together and they pray to stuff that we just don't pray to. You could wear that there.
I might.
For me, getting involved happened around the time when I Don't Know More started. It had turned out that the Enbridge Oil Company, Red Lake owned a small parcel of land off the reservation a little ways in the town of Leonard, Minnesota. And it just so happened that the Enbridge pipes coming from his territory crossed that small parcel of land. And some people got together and said that, if we're going to support the I Don't Know More movement, there's something that we can do here, especially on native land. And so what they did was they built a camp there. And they came to me and asked me for help, or just to help get the word out, because I had a kind of a pretty big following in the U.S. and Canada from doing comedy. And I was real ignorant to the issues when at that time. I was kind of like how some people are. Well, I use a car and I do that, so I can't get involved, or for fear of looking like a hypocrite or whatever like that. But I went down there and I stayed down there for about a month, and I camped out and I learned a lot. So that's it was kind of like I felt an obligation to help my people with what I had, and I had a fan base and a network, to get the word out. So that's how I got involved.
How did you guys connect then?
For that Yes Men.
Yes Men Are Revolting was the third film the Yes Men had done. I met them when they came up to Fort Mac to film that, because tar sands are obviously one of the issues they're tackling and covering.
Yeah.
And we actually got stuck out on the Athabasca River for I think it was 10 or maybe 12 hours. We had to paddle back to where we were going, and we just bonded over these 12 hours, which is good, because when you get stuck with someone like that, you either love them or you want to kill them after 12 hours. And so then they sent me a text like 6 months later to help them finish their final skit in their movie. It was a different form of activism that really, really drew me to them. This idea of creating these moments of augmenting reality and getting people to get sucked in, and then flipping the script.
And you knew them as well?
Just through him.
Yeah.
So you meet them, and then they...
He invited me to go do this. They needed some native singing, I think it was, some vocals.
So if there's any advice I could give to anybody, it's like if you have an idea, surround yourself with people who are better than you. So like doing the tech stuff, the S-Men they have a wicked team.
Yeah.
For comedy, like Tito's one of the funniest people that I know.
I appreciate that.
You're pretty damn funny.
And so it was just like, we need to get him in here. We need to have his flavor in that final skit, because I really feel like we all come together, support each other, we can take the next plateau, whatever that looks like. And so we got Tito down.
Okay, so we're talking a lot about the Yes-Men here, and some of our audience might not be familiar with who they are. So we are going to explain. The Yes-Men are anti-corporate activists who self-describe as two gonzo activists who pose as top executives of giant corporations. They lie their way into big business conferences, and they pull off outrageous pranks. That's their words. To get their political message across. They've done a couple of documentaries, The Yes-Men, which screened at Sundance Film Festival in 2004, and then the 2009 sequel, Yes-Men Fix the World. What was the one you just mentioned?
The Yes-Men Are Revolting.
And that's not come out yet?
No, that's actually out. You can rent that on I think demand. Apple On Demand, Yahoo, or not Yahoo, YouTube. Okay. That's what the kids are watching, YouTube.
I know.
You can rent it on YouTube.
I have a kid.
I'm actually in there as well, so.
Okay, so let's watch a clip from the Yes-Men. They sent out this fake news release claiming to be from the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, advising the nation's, the American nation's media that they've changed their mind on climate change. So they're holding a news conference, and it's attended by some very confused media and a not-so-happy guy from the actual U.S. Chamber of Commerce. Let's watch.
Clean coal is a technology that has not only not been proven, it basically doesn't exist.
Okay, this is, I'm Eric Wolfschlegel. I'm with the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. This is not an official U.S. Chamber of Commerce event. So I don't know what pretenses you're here. I know some of you in the press world, but this is a fraudulent press activity and a stunt.
Who are you really, sir?
And do you have a business card? Are you with the U.S. Chamber?
I do. We can discuss afterwards.
Okay. Can I see your business card?
Can I see yours?
Are you here representing the U.S. Chamber of Commerce?
Yes, I am.
Okay, well, I work there, and you do not look familiar to me at all.
Could I see your business card? Could I see your business card?
Are you interrupting the president? Yes, I am. And, this guy does not represent the U.S. Chamber of Commerce.
Can we finish the
okay? No. This is not an official Chamber of Commerce. This is not... what is your position at the Chamber of Commerce?
I just spoke my position.
We've got working. What is your title and your official title at the U.S. Chamber?
I'm the assistant to Mr. Donahue.
Okay. This guy is a fraud. He's lying. This is, a stunt that I've never seen before. So if you'd like to actually talk to the legitimate Chamber of Commerce, I've got my business cards outside. This gentleman, I will assure you, does not have any business cards, and he's not legitimate.
Show me your business card. No, show me yours. No, show me yours.
They both look like imposters. What? It's
you got a business card?
It's so weird, though. But
you don't look familiar. The U.S. Chamber of Commerce says it was victimized.
Victims of a hoax by environmental activists.
They said public relations hoaxes undermine the genuine effort to find solutions on the challenge of climate change.
A hoax actually led to the chamber admitting that there is a challenge for climate change. It seems like a good first step. So next up, hoaxes about poverty, violence,
education.
The
big education hoax. We've got a big education hoax in this country.
The hoax is a good first step.
So you can see some similar threads between their work and your work. We have a caller, Jeff from Duluth.
Hello?
Hey.
Hello, yeah.
Hi, Jeff?
Yes.
Thanks for calling. Did you have a question or a comment?
I just wanted to add to this whole conversation a bit of a different kind of point of view, just because I work for Enbridge in Duluth, Minnesota, where these guys did this silly thing, and I'm not entirely against them, but I just wanted to say that I don't understand really what they have a problem with in terms of what Enbridge is doing. We're doing a lot of really good community work, and we're doing a lot of good outreach even with Indigenous communities, and I don't see what putting Line 3 or any pipeline through Duluth would change. But I just wanted to add another point of view to say that I think these pipelines are really good for a lot of people, and I don't think they're that damaging to a lot of people. And this is the very stuff that I work on every day, is making sure that it benefits, as many people as possible. And a lot of those people include Indigenous people. And I think it's important for everybody. I think one of you guys is from Alberta, and we do a lot of good work up there too. I think Enbridge is a leader up there all along the route, and I think as somebody from up in Alberta, I think you would know better that that's kind of the heart of what we do, and I think you probably have even benefited from a lot of the pipeline work that's come through your neighborhoods, really.
So you wanted to know, I guess your question then, Jeff, is that you wanted to know why they have a problem with the pipeline. Did you want to hear their answer?
Well, I think I've seen some of the funny videos. I have an idea what they're going to say, but I just wanted to get a kind of get their reaction to the kind of the real position that we have about this. Enbridge's position on pipelines is the real position.
I think if they were doing a really good job, you wouldn't have a resistance from Indigenous nations. And I think like the bare minimum really is what a lot of these companies do. And because the standard is so low of how when they're dealing with Indigenous peoples, anything above that, they celebrate themselves. I mean, you wouldn't have the tiny house warriors. You wouldn't have them right now. If you wouldn't have the issue at Standing Rock, you wouldn't have these things if it was done with proper consultation, which just whatever fever dream you're believing in isn't really happening right now, because you're seeing more and more resistance from people coming up. We never really had a say in the beginning when pipelines are initially going through in any of the communities. Even up north in Alberta, when we find problems, for instance, like with the tech mine that's going up. Mm-hmm. Yes, it's going to create jobs. Yes, it's going to be good for the economy. But the Athabasca Chippewa First Nation had released an environmental report of all of the stuff that's going to, the fallout from this mine. It's going to impact migration patterns, birds, animals. But in the interest of the economy, all these projects end up getting pushed forward. So the consultation is like, you either take it or leave it. And if you have any kind of objections, generally they kind of frame us as in a sense that we don't understand like the economy and development. Mm-hmm. Like we're so backwards as people that we just don't know.
You just don't get it.
We just don't know what a good thing is.
Yeah.
And really, it's always at the expense of who we are. Yeah. And then that's the thing that we're really trying to highlight. When these developments go through, it's always at our expense.
But people are saying, and I think I heard it in something that Jeff had said, you benefit from this. Yeah. You get jobs from this. Yeah. So do you find that you're up against that a lot? When you say it's at our expense, people will turn around and say, well, no, but there's jobs there for you. Yeah. Or you get money for the pipeline going through your land, so what are you complaining about? How do you make sense of it? How do you explain it to people who think that they already get that?
That's really from a Eurocentric point of view, the idea of jobs over anything else. Our culture is cultivated from the land and who we are. Mm-hmm. And so when you begin to destroy the land, you essentially destroy who we are. I've always said this, our temples, our holy books are things that are on the land, are of the land, because that's what we are. So when you destroy that, you destroy us. Mm-hmm. And if you're looking at a culture and who we are as, our identity and trying to reclaim that and keep it, when it's mass devastation or you can no longer go back onto that land because it's too polluted, it's too poisonous, you've effectively killed that part of our culture. Our stories are tied into the land. Mm-hmm. So yes, these jobs might be there for like 40, 50 years or whatever, whatever the life cycle is for that development, but our stories of creation, our stories of that land are older than the concept of Canada. Some people say, well, how old? It's like, it's either the birth of our consciousness or it goes right back to creation. Yeah. And I don't know which comes first. So people are saying they're very short-term benefits at our expense, because these Canadians don't lose who they are when a pipeline goes through. We lose who we are because of these things.
I wanted to mention, too, just a couple stats that, and this is from the Yes Men's website, too, and it's all cited. You can check it out, and it's been fact-checked. Enbridge pipelines have spilled over 800 times in the past 15 years, including the largest spill in U.S. history outside of Grand Rapids, Minnesota, so your stomping ground, in 1991 from the existing Line 3. In any 10-year period, there's a 57% chance of a major spill. I want to hear your response to some of the things that Jeff brought up. When we come back, we've got to take a quick break. So when we come back, we've got more with the Indigenous Pipeline Council. That's at Peace Pipe, if you want to follow them on Twitter. And here's a look at the antics from the Yes Men movie that served as inspiration for the Indigenous Pipeline Council, or one bit of inspiration, perhaps. Stay with us.
Meet the Yes Men, the next generation of activists.
We're like Santa Claus, only less radical.
To fight corporate greed, they will become anyone.
And with the Yes Men, we target people we see as criminals, and we steal their identity to try to make them honest.
This is Ken Strong-Spratt from the WTO.
Michael Bonanno here.
I'm Hank Hardy Unruh.
Dr. Andreas Bickeldauer.
Grandma's Hewlett-Berry.
We were expecting you.
Oh, good.
To fix the global economy,
Run!
they will use any means necessary.
This time we just have to really push it, make it totally extreme. This is the big day to close down the WTO.
At this point, it's upset quite a few people.
Oh, it gets better.
The Yes Men, changing the world, one prank at a time.
Join our conversation now. Call in toll-free at 1-877-647-2786. Like us on Facebook on our APTN News page. Follow or tweet us at APTN InFocus. Or send your thoughts to infocus@aptn.ca.
Welcome back. Let's go to social media now with our social media editor, Jesse ANDRUSHKO, to hear what some of you are saying about today's topic.
Thanks, Melissa. So on Facebook, we asked, is humor a good way to deal with serious topics like the pipeline debate? Will said, well, it's a joke to think they won't leak, so I don't see why not. Tom commented, humor is always a good medicine. We had a few other comments about pipelines on our social media pages. From David, if they paid me for it to go through, no problem. Judy said, a gas pipeline runs through our First Nation and under the river. It is 60 years old and floats when the river is running at full speed during heavy rains. Paul said, business, business, business. All business is taking what is not yours and dealing it back to people. And lastly, from Rhoda Lee, they will continue to do whatever they want to do. I listen, but I don't know. If you'd like to add your opinion to this topic of conversation, here's how.
Join our conversation now. Call in toll-free at 1-877-647-2786. Like us on Facebook on our APTN News page. Follow or tweet us at APTN InFocus. Or send your thoughts to infocus@aptn.ca.
Joining me still in studio is Ryan Derange, a.k.a. Gits Crazy Boy. He's Blackfoot Dene, came from Treaty 7 territory
Blackfoot
to join us here today. And Peter Ibarra, Tito Ibarra as he's also known. He's Ojibwe joining us from Red Lake, Minnesota. They make up the Indigenous Pipeline Council. They're trying to get non-Indigenous people on board with a pipeline going through their space, and including the fine folks who enjoy the Ridgeview Country Club golf course in Duluth, Minnesota. Let's watch them try to convince them that the pipeline's a good idea.
Okay. That's a good spot right here.
Got it.
Miigwech, Shimonidu.
Bolts right here. The pipe's gonna go from here to here to here, and then straight down that way.
Right underneath those white guys.
Yeah, so we're part of the group called the Indigenous Pipeline Council. And have you heard about Line 3?
Yeah.
So the cheapest way is to run it straight through. So actually this golf course here, I don't even know this. This is on contested Indian lands.
Here?
Yeah, here. Really? So that's what we're trying to have access to this pipe that we're gonna have come right through.
We're a native-owned and operated pipeline company, and you can look us up.
I'll look at those.
All right.
Sorry.
Cool. Well, yeah, I'll take it.
And
Carl Ironhouse.
we've been granted the last 19 miles of the pipeline to
and through Duluth. But unfortunately, not all of this golf course, but some of this golf course is going to have to be in the way of the pipe. They might put it back down. They're looking at schematics right now. It might be an above ground pipe because that's obviously the cheapest. Right through.
So you guys also had handy-dandy pipeline plans to show them exactly how this pipeline would, they could work around it for their golf games. Let's take a look. We have some of those plans here. See, like, that's easy. It actually looks fun, right? Like the pipeline would just kind of come through your mini golf course. You could like bank some shots off there. You can see down in the bottom left. Who did this? Who made this?
Well, that was part of the Yes-Men team. We had got together and we told them, yeah, it's running through a golf course. And then they're like, well, that's not funny. I'm like, well, and then we were compiling ideas. We're like, what if they used it? I mean, because that pipeline above ground, because they heat up in wintertime, it would actually keep the golf course warm. So it's like win-win.
It's so smart.
Yeah.
It's so smart. This pipeline is a great idea. Show me where to sign. I sign on.
Yeah. I mean, who would not want to play golf in the middle of the winter?
Who would not? Okay, so we have a couple of other callers. Loretta from Calgary, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Hey, Loretta, thanks for calling. Did you have a question or a comment?
I have a little bit of both. My concern is the transparency for band councils to our people and no follow through with housing and education from the dollars that they receive for the oil revenues. There also are no ones willing to sponsor jobs to clean up the thousands of pipelines that are left behind, the orphaned ones. So my concern is, why doesn't some of those jobs go to cleaning up all the pipelines across the country? And I'm sure there's Aboriginal people willing to fell and be trained to do that for our areas.
Yeah, thanks for that, Loretta. Do you have a comment?
Thank you.
Transparency is always one of those things. I think to like get around all of this, just go to your chief and council and ask them if they know what climate change is. And if they can't answer that question, then get them out of office.
That's smart.
Just get them right out of office. Really, like, because we're in a time now where we can't be messing around. If you need to occupy the office so they would educate themselves, then go do that. But if they refuse to educate themselves, or they're trying to give you answers which don't make any sense, then just get them out of your band. Like, just get rid of them.
So we have another caller too. Charles is calling us from Kelowna. Charles, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Hey, Charles.
Okay, am I on?
You are on, yeah. Do you have a question or a comment?
Yes. I'm a Ojibwe from northern Ontario, and I worked in Fort Mac for 10 years as an ironworker welder. And for the last 3 years, I've been out of work because everybody's bucking the pipeline. And I mean, I realize everybody wants to go green, but we can't do it overnight. So it's like a slow process. Like, geez, the economy is just awful. I'm almost homeless right now.
What do you guys say?
Does he have clean drinking water?
Charles, do you have clean drinking water? Tito wants to know if you have clean drinking water. Are you there, Charles?
Yeah, I'm here.
Do you have clean drinking water? Tito
Oh, yes,
asked.
yes.
Yes.
He's doing a lot better than a lot of natives or indigenous people in this country then.
I mean, the thing about like this is that your sense of desperation is the game that colonization and colonizers have always used against us. They put us this place of like mass poverty so they can offer whatever they want to us, thinking that it's a solution. The fact that jobs are dying isn't necessarily because of people. I mean, I don't control the European investors that are pulling their money out right now from the tar sands. I don't have that power. Celebrities don't have that power. I know they like to like rag on Leonardo DiCaprio or Greta, but they don't have any power. They don't sit and make these people remove their money. The rest of the world is evolving right now beyond oil and gas. They are looking at these alternatives. The only reason why you're believing this is because you've been involved and your sphere of influence is people who are in oil and gas. If you were to travel outwards, you could see different countries taking this leap into like greener technologies.
I have a question for Charles. You had said you've been out of work for 3 years as the oil sands are shutting down, basically. Oh, he's gone. Charles is gone. My question would be, like, do you not have the skills that you had that you used there? Are those not transferable to renewable energy somehow? You know, with some minor shifts and changes. I mean, you must come across, you guys, often people saying, but this is like, I've got mouths to feed. I've got a family to feed. This is the job I have, and I need this job. What do you say to those people?
If they have, like, our information is, like I said, we're so inundated with just oil and gas in Alberta that it's really hard to see any other solutions. And this idea of, like, green energies and alternatives and saying that's an impossibility because it's going to take too long, the money's not there, the technology's not there. Single thing that they say verbatim is what they said when they initially made the transition into refining bitumen sands into oil. Like, everything they say about greener technologies is what they said during the late 60s, that it'll never work, it's an impossibility.
Yeah.
And here we are, decades later. Technology only gets better. So as soon as they create something, it gets better. Like wind farms, they're going to get better. They're problematic. Everything's problematic, but they get better along with just as time goes. Solar panels are the same thing. It's not really the idea of, like, one energy economy just being oil and gas is so crazy to me. And then they're saying, well, you're just going to go into wind fields. It's like, no, let's diverse our energy needs.
And these, as we do that, I would have to think that there would be jobs that would follow. I'm curious to hear from you, Tito. Is it the same? Do you hear the same sort of thing in the U.S. as we do? Mostly, I would say, from Alberta here in Canada. There's a very pro-oil culture there. Is that the same where you come from?
Yes, there's a organization that's in support of the Enbridge coming through there.
Is it paid for by Enbridge?
It very well could be, but I think a lot of it is just people jump on board because of so much resistance from the natives, the natives over there. That's what I think anyway. And what they don't realize is that it may create a few jobs, for temporary jobs, but it's not going to create anything that's going to last. And it's not that many jobs, honestly. And there'd be just as many jobs taking it out if they were to take it out. Maybe even more jobs. You know what I mean?
And I'm not going to say these jobs are going to the chief's son, but they're probably going to the chief's son in council.
Have you guys found through tackling this issue using humor? Are you seeing any aha moments for people?
Yeah, it's the impact I'm seeing and getting response from isn't anything I really thought it would be. When my partner she was always saying, like, you have no idea what this is. And I'm like, well, I don't, and I don't think it was really like this. But when the shoe is on the other foot, and a person allows themselves to believe in what we've created, there is these moments where they can go into this part where we can share these experiences. And I'm hoping they were raised right so they know what empathy is. It's not a foreign emotion to them. And in that space, I really believe that some of them are like, oh, this is what it's like.
Yeah. What are your thoughts?
What's the question again?
I'm sorry. Aha moments.
Have you seen an aha moment in someone's face since you started with this?
I've seen some people get pretty upset. So that's kind of like a aha moment, but fortunately,
no, that's ha-ha.
But fortunately for them, they got to go back to it wasn't true, like the prank in Duluth. It wasn't real, so they, it didn't take, it only took a day or two for them to figure that out. But fortunately for them, they get to go back to their regularly scheduled programming and be safe. They don't have to worry about that. They don't have to worry about their water. They don't have to worry about their wild rice, their food. They don't have to,
I think it's like the inevitability. Like they could shut that off. For us, it's just inevitable.
Yeah.
That was, and again, I'm hoping this space of empathy and anger and rage really shows them something.
I like that. Okay, we should probably take another break. But we've got more still ahead from the Indigenous Pipeline Council, so stay with us.
Everyone deserves energy. All living things create energy. Energy that surrounds us, penetrates us, connects us, and binds the universe together. Energy fuels our favorite moments. But lately, the pathway to prosperity is blocked. Those who live in the way of energy pipelines are also standing up against them. And it's for good reason. To our Indigenous brothers and sisters, The land is our sacred mother, and she is our life. But our people know the value of energy too. And we know there's a better way. We believe the prosperity of pipelines ought to be shared, and the burden too. And we're proud to bring that solution to you. Energy movers have unprecedented support to move through all kinds of barriers. And we're using those freedoms to bring this dream to life. Here at the Indigenous Pipeline Council, we blend cutting-edge technologies with the wisdom of our ancestors to create and change the way energy is moved. To expand the circle of who benefits. A pipeline to reconciliation. We're bringing new growth to old ideas. Because energy is life. Energy is us.
Welcome back. We're still here with Ryan Derange, aka Gits Crazy Boy, and Peter Ibarra, aka Tito Ibarra. Together they are the Indigenous Pipeline Council. They're trying to get non-Indigenous people on board a pipeline going through their space. In this case we're about to show you, it's just like a few coffins that need to be dug up outside a church for the pipeline to go through. Watch.
In an Ojibwe from right here in Minnesota. Carl and my ancestors moved freely to supply their changing energy needs. Now today it's the energy that does it. We at the IPC help.
All right. White people search, man.
The legacy continues as oil and pipeline companies destroy our ancestral roots. No wonder we have
we're part of a pipeline company. We're contracted by Enbridge, so we're gonna have to move some remains. Oh yeah, no, we have permission. We have eminent domain from Enbridge. So Enbridge got eminent domain because they're rerouting their pipeline up here.
Yeah, but what are you doing here?
It's true.
It's part of a removal of. You haven't heard of grave removals for pipelines? Not here, no. We don't even want Jews around here.
I don't know if you know this, but when they put in pipelines, they have to move bodies out of the way. And so we're just, we have consent to move one or two of these bodies, which is what we're doing right now.
So, what was your favorite part about doing that one?
So we actually have a longer clip. We haven't released yet.
You couldn't have brought it here with you today?
No, because they're trying to, it's in post-production right now. They're editing it together. My favorite thing, like white people don't like when you interrupt church. And this was like at the end of church, so I thought it'd be okay. But I think there were some people who were really mad that we were moving them. And there were some who were only mad that we were moving it because it was church.
Yeah.
And we also had this one dude, listening the response, like your honest response for something, that old guy, and the new clip will have, I actually say, like, yeah, the destroying burial grounds that happened in Standing Rock. And his response is like, I don't care about Standing Rock. We don't care about Standing Rock. And that was as truthful as he could possibly get. And that truth, even though it's like horrific and it's hurtful, a majority of non-Indigenous folks believe that. You know, as long as it's not happening to them, it's okay.
What was your favorite part, or least favorite, I guess, too? Like, there's got to be, when you guys are doing this, I mean, it's humorous, but while you're doing it, I guess, is there sometimes there's like that seething rage?
Like, specifically, my favorite part was probably when they dropped the coffin, because that made me laugh the hardest. I had to run and hide behind my van because I was losing it. But that guy's reaction, that old Chimokuman, his reaction, oh, well, not around here we don't, because when you treat them how they treat us, it's like, oh, how can you do such a thing, you know? But like lucky for them, it was fake. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
That's always the thing too. I mean, you can see their outrage, and how could you feel bad because it's not real, right? We have another caller from Duluth, Barney.
Hey, hello.
Hey, thanks for calling. Did you have a question or comment?
Yeah, I'm from Minnesotans for Line 3, and I just want to say, I really appreciate the humor. I get it, the satire. It's funny, and all that. But satire is better when it's precise. And in this case, you guys kind of got it wrong. I mean, comparing Duluth to the res, you know, saying because Line 3 goes through reservations and so on and so forth, therefore the line should go through Duluth. It's comparing like apples and oranges or oil and spit, you know? It's like Duluth or any big American city has a very high economic value to the entire country, certainly to Minnesota. It's a valuable place. Whereas I would ask you to demonstrate any real economic value from the reservations you're from or from other reservations that are equivalent to that and that would be equally damaged by a pipeline going through that territory.
Barney, there's people on the reserve. Like that, you're talking about value. There's people living there.
Are you talking about like the differences, like
I mean, compared to Duluth, you know, we're talking about again.
So Barney, are you saying like the difference between apples and oranges? Are you saying like the difference between the civilized and the savage?
No, I'm talking about sheer numbers. Duluth is a big city with a lot of economic value to America. It produces all
prior
kinds of
to
things
like Duluth being around in that exact area, there was hundreds of thousands of Indigenous peoples that were living there that also got horrifically murdered by the genocide of the American government and the army.
Well, yes, but that was a long time ago, and what we have now is a city that's of great economic value to all sorts of people, produces all sorts of things, whereas the reservation today, I'm not saying it's right, but today the reservation does not, you know, cutting a pipeline through that is not going to affect the national economy nearly as much as cutting a pipeline through a great American
I really am troubled by your ability to compartmentalize people of color and white people. It's kind of hard to wrap my mind around when you're saying it's okay when it happens on the res, not okay when it happens onto the city. Okay when it happens to brown people, not okay when it happens to white people.
It's the volume of people.
It's an economic issue. It's just economics. It's not race. It's economics.
So hold on. All of these resources that we're talking about, they come from Indigenous lands. And they're not going back into Indigenous pockets. Like the money's not going back to the people. There hasn't been proper consultation or compensation at all. So I mean, the fact that you keep trying to route this back to the economy, we're also getting screwed on that front too, like completely. The reason why there are places of poverty is because it's colonial enforced. It's not an accident that reservations are poor. Nobody likes being poor. Nobody likes struggling to make ends meet. Every time an economy has been built up on the res, it's been destroyed, or enough legislation goes through the lines of the government to us to prevent us from actually growing up or growing out as well. I mean, you keep bringing it back to the economy. Yeah, we try to build economies. It gets destroyed. We are given peanuts, and non-Indigenous peoples aren't given that. They're given like the whole bread. They're given the cake. They're given the whole restaurant, and we're still on the outside trying to get in.
I'm curious to hear your response to Barney's concerns to Tito. I mean, this is where you live.
At one time, the whole North American.
Like, you know, just to say right now, we have the restaurant. So, you know, it's real day, current day reality. We have the restaurant. And, you know, to your analogy, cutting a pipeline through our restaurant means nobody can eat. Whereas cutting a line through, let's say, the places that people were massacred and that the food came from and so on and so forth, doesn't really affect as many people.
Would you say that is like a shared opinion for the people in Duluth? Your opinion on this? Is that like something that, should I expect this from like a lot of different white people when they look at me, that we are expendable and they aren't? Because I can tell you, it sure feels like we're expendable.
I think under the surface you might find that attitude quite a bit. I mean, I'm
under the surface. On the surface.
I mean, you know, we're an Enbridge-funded group, and we have we speak about the issues that matter to Minnesotans from Enbridge's perspective, and we speak about it very upfront and very clearly about what matters to Minnesotans, which is economics of it, and to Americans. I would suspect most people try to keep this sort of attitude under the surface a little more, but I think you would find it somewhere deep down.
But I have a question for you then, Barney. What if it comes down to economics and a safe environment? Which would you choose?
Oh, well, I mean, it would depend for who. I would like a safe environment, a pleasant environment for myself and my family. I would like good economics for as many people as possible. I think, you know, we live in a system that privileges wealth, and the theory is that, you know, as long as more people have money, more people will be happy.
Okay, but all you can have is safe water and safe air or money. What's your pick? If you had to pick.
For myself or for the gentleman on the show.
Oh, so it would be a different answer.
Well, so you would want. So you get the money and the air, and we get nothing.
Well, if I'm able to purchase good water in a bottle, perhaps even in a recyclable bottle, you know, or I don't know, a breathing apparatus, perhaps that'll become commonplace that you can purchase. You know, economics sometimes finds the best solutions for things, and I think that's the logic underlying this project overall, the Line 3, and. So what, you know, if these gentlemen object,
what in your mind? What in your mind are you willing to give up? Like food, water, air. Which one of these three things are you fully willing to just give up for like a pipeline?
Okay.
Could you list those again?
Okay, we got to go. Barney, we're running out of time here. We've got a couple more people and topics to hit, but I appreciate you calling and sharing your thoughts. That's very cool of you.
No, I'll say this. Most people are welcome on the res, but I want to see that guy around.
Barney, don't go to the res.
Don't come to the powwow. Everyone else in Duluth, come to the powwow. Barney, don't go to the powwow.
Barney's a tug-eye.
Tug-eye. I don't know if we can say that.
Can we say that?
We just said it.
I didn't say it. I'm not going down with you guys. No, I have.
Say it. It means good boy. It means good boy.
I have adopted moms that are watching me right now, and I will get.
I was told it meant good boy in Crete. My bad.
Okay, I have a fun. Are you guys sticking with pipelines, or what can we expect? Okay, two quick questions. What these are just teasers for a bigger project. What's that, and what are you guys going to be venturing outside of pipelines?
So we're trying to get a short film together right now for what we did. We are currently talking to some funders for it, but we are open to other people to want to help.
You need money.
We need money to finish this.
How do people give you money?
We're going through the Yes Men to finish this. We might be doing a couple companies coming together, an Indigenous and the Yes Men company coming together to do a whole feature. While we were doing this, we started dreaming up these really crazy ideas to push this even further and more shocking. And they're just really crazy, inventive ways that are, to me, don't really seem that crazy, but when I talk to people, they are.
Yeah.
To really challenge people on where they stand and how they appreciate all this is what's going on, like with development and pipelines. If we get that, the only thing I can say is like it would be pipelines, but it's also development, just in general, and that nobody would be safe from the things, the shenanigans we would pull, and the fact that we would be also educate. This part I don't know if you should say. So yeah, I'll just say it.
Yeah,
so
I was just going to say, always say it.
Okay, so part of it would be us teaching this kind of activism to a lot of other Indigenous peoples and marginalized individuals as well. So it wouldn't just be like us. We would be empowering other people as well, because they could really, again, take it to the next level.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if you're on the fence, if you are an Indigenous person, and you are exploiting our people, if you're a company or a city, if you're a member of parliament, and you are exploiting Indigenous peoples, I would say that if we get this funding, like, everything is fair game.
For you?
Everything's fair game. I mean,
sign the contract. Sign the contract.
Everything would be fair game for this because we really want to share and expose and inform people about the things that we actually go through.
Yeah. Well, we are out of time. I thank you guys both for traveling all this way to join us. This was a great conversation. I liked the callers, too.
Yeah. Barney, don't come to the powwow.
Barney, don't go to the res.
Don't go to the res. Don't go to the powwow.
I'm very happy to finally get across the border, and I'd like to spend more time up here, so get at me. Let's book some shows.
They can find you guys on @PeacePipe on Twitter, too, right?
Yeah. GetsCrazyBoy.com.
Okay.
Larry Tito Baskin on Facebook right now. Tito Comedy on YouTube and Twitter.
Want to give a shout out to my beautiful partner Victoria, my daughter O'Day, my adopted boy Keelan, the little prince. Just want to say I love all of you and miss you. My nephews and nieces across this continent.
Awesome. Well, I'm Melissa Ridgen. That is all the time we have for our show. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you back here next week with a whole new topic.